Morning. Thought I would take you out of my regular morning routine this morning, since I'm usually not able to do a video first thing in the morning. I wanted to show you what our morning work is like. I'm out here before 7 o'clock in the morning, which is about when I like to be out here. I'm gonna let the chickens out. Hi guys. How you guys doing? I'll let you out, okay? I brought some leftovers, some kitchen scraps for them that I'm going to share. So I'm going to open up the ices first and the barbs, and then come back and let the paths out. Morning, guys. Hopefully this will help these chickens learn how to forage. They're doing pretty well over here. This is one of our projects that we've been working on, is a pallet fence. Because we have dogs that like to run off. And yet we want to have them with us when we're outside doing things. So we had them in a cage, a fence that included just the front yard, but we really wanted to be able to have them with us and not just seclude them to one spot in the yard. So we did the pallet fence for this side that we didn't have any fence. And then that opened up our front yard, and we just have the pain of opening up the gate every time we come into the driveway, but that's not a big deal. And a couple of times our cows have actually gotten out into our yard, and it's been nice that we've had the fence up around our entire property, because when they've gotten out, they've panicked, and rather than running into somebody else's yard, which would be absolutely devastating, we've been able to keep them in our yard because of the pallet fence. The wire fence they have gotten out of. The stuff that I use for my chickens, I had zip ties attached to T-posts, and you know, that was great for our dogs. And it worked really well for our cows for a long time, until the grass started growing. When the grass started growing, they decided they wanted some of the grass that was on the other side of the fence, and so they would, with their noses, push the bottom part of the fence out to get some of that grass that was just on the other side of the fence. And they're big cows, they're strong, so as they would push, the zip tie would break, and then eventually the whole thing came down and landed. Scared them. That was a fun day. Scared them really bad, and they went running out of our yard, out of our property, and down the road. We just happened to be coming home from picking up the kids from school, and happened to go that way, and met the cows about 3/4 of a mile from our house, running down the road. It was terrifying for me, hilarious for anybody else. There's pictures on our Facebook page if you want to take a look at it, although it looks more like my kids are just walking a couple of large dogs home on the road, only they're cows. Not exactly the kind of thing you would take for a walk, but they're such good girls. They did very, very well. They just walked right with the kids and walked all the way home. And as soon as they saw us and we started calling to them, they stopped, and then they recognized us and came running up to us. And hi, Chance. So that was an interesting day. It was a live and learn. Like I said, we're first-time cow owners. We're still learning the power of these animals. We're learning that they panic easy, they spook easily, and that a lot of times they just don't know their own strength. And you know, like Alice, our big black one, she's part Holstein. She doesn't mean to be bad. She's just got some spirit in her, and so she likes to have fun, and she doesn't know her own strength, and she has a little bit of an attitude of wanting to test the limits and see what she can get away with. So let's go check on the cows, see how they're doing. Yeah, your water's full out here. We have found that these pallet fences are amazing. We love them. We've got the pallets all wrapped around, except for a couple of spots, but it works really well as a visual barrier and strength. Although Alice has kicked down a couple of small ones. So like I said, you know, you just don't underestimate their power. Alright, girls, you can come on out now if you want. Wow, looks like we've got some serious mud pies to clean up in here, huh? Marianne, how you doing, sweetie? You guys want to have your treats? We cleaned up the stall perfectly, washed everything down, cleaned it all up, and yeah. They do usually stay in here overnight, but they go outside frequently to get water, to graze here in the holding pen. We don't let them go further simply because with them being so close to calving, we want them fairly close so that we can keep an eye on them. All right, girls, I'll get you your treats. My husband built a second treats area. This one's for Alice. It's a little taller than our other one. Hey, sweetie. So generally, they will stay in here in their stall until maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then by then, I like to have either somebody or myself be out here cleaning up their stall, getting it mucked out, and just doing the work to clean up in here. Yesterday, we got this area all nice and cleaned. This is the supply room. Oh, I forgot I was supposed to add some apple cider vinegar. And then we're going to use this. We're going to cover it with a board, but we'll use that for milking stanchion, which I have got to get going and build. There's our straw pile for now. It's up on a bench so that it won't get wet. And then we've got a hose run along and loop. That way I can just take that right out. I have to turn it on up at the house, but we can take that right out and put their water into their water trough outside, water bucket outside, but it also reaches well so that we can, you know, spray it down and clean up in here, get their water in here filled. So it just really helps to have a very, very long hose. Someday we'd like to put in a well out here near the barn so that we can have all of that working in here. Hi, sweetie. You look like a happy girl, Marianne. They love their hay. It's just regular grass hay. And it's old. It's a year old, but it was kept dry. And it's still green. And they love it. And it's a good supplement for them because our field isn't huge and doesn't supply everything for them. So having a combination of the hay with the pasture grass is good for them. Okay, so if we were going to be doing milking today as well, we're going to hopefully, Lord willing, keep our calves beyond the stanchion area in here in this room. There's a sliding door. We'll build a couple of calf hutches in here, and then when we're ready to milk, we will take the girls through this door, bring them straight out here, and they will go to this area. This is going to be where the stanchion is. And put their heads in here, where we'll have a dish to feed them, and they'll be able to see their babies right there in their calf hutches. Once they're done, the moms will step out of the stanchion and be able to go then straight out that door into pasture, and we will let that calf out that sliding door to go be with mom, and then bring in the next cow and do the same thing. And that would be our morning routine. So that's pretty much what we have figured out. And now it's just a case of building the stanchion and making that happen. And I know we're getting closer. What I would really love to do if I had the time is to start training these girls by getting into the stanchion, even though they're pregnant and I'm not going to milk them. Getting into the stanchion and getting used to that, locking them into it, and then getting their treats. They'll have hay. We'll give them some grain for, not while they're pregnant, but after, when we're ready to milk them. We'll give them some hay, just a little bit of the sweet treats, and then they'll be used to that. And then we'll clean them, wipe them down, wipe down their udder, brush them, and just kind of be very hands-on with them, and in a way that we are not right now, in a routine, so that even after they have their calves, we'll still go through the routine, even though we still won't be milking them. And then once we are ready to milk them, we'll have the calves over there, and you know, that'll work out really, really well. Hopefully, that's the plan. Okay, let's go get to the next thing. And oh, I have to check the wire fence, the electric fence. Make sure it's all working well. Okay, where's my tester? rooster. Well, 4.5. That doesn't make me exceptionally happy. It should be higher than that, but that's not bad. Alright, I'm gonna go test another area, see if maybe that's the problem. More than likely it's just that weeds have grown up around the fence and it needs to be weed whacked. Not a big deal. But it should be rooting higher than that. I know different people will keep their fences reading at around 8 to 12. I don't necessarily know that I have a need for that. Maybe if I was to ever get a bull, I would. And I'm sure once I need cow or pigs, I'll need something like that. Okay, there's the problem. There's something interrupting this fence. That's why it's the main fence is all weak. Sorry, doggies, you're not gonna catch those birds. Let's see. One more weeds out here than I'd like. I'm not sure what problems per se here. I need to go down to the gun range and check them out. I'm not going to put the girls out here in this pasture right now anyway, so I'm not worried about that. Perimeter fence is running 4.5. That'll be enough to keep them in. Probably not if they were panicked. And if you guys have any comments as far as with calves, because the calves will need to learn about the electric fence. And I know that in the past we've had to have our electric fence on really hot with our last cow and her calf, because the calf just wouldn't respect it and would go right through it, and then of course Mama would too, regardless. Okay, the other day our hay field, or wheat field, was harvested, and I loaded up the semi-truck full of wheat and grain and went down the road and tried to make the curve, but we live on an angled road, so making a straight north curve was a really tight angle. It was a very small angle, like a 45-degree angle. So this great big huge semi-truck tried to make that turn, and it did not go well, and he ended up tipping over in the ditch. And I just felt so devastated for him, because it's been a tough enough year for farmers as it is, and then just the thought of losing that crop, to me it was devastating. I know how I would feel. Oh, I know what I gotta do. I gotta go check on the garden. I haven't had coffee yet, so my brain is not working 100%. Coffee will come. I'm starved, and I need coffee. I need coffee. There's my carrots. Looking good. A little overgrown. Beets are there. They're looking good. This was a late cantaloupe. Oh, there's lots of bees around here. This is my pumpkin plants. You can tell they're just taking over. Totally taking over. Squash and pumpkins. My beets are looking really good. There's the rake. And there's the clippers. Huh. My chamomile, we harvested a bunch, but I gotta harvest a bunch more. Some of these tomatoes were almost ripe. I think I want to give them one more day. I don't know if you can see way down inside there. There's some tomatoes starting to ripen. Those are going to be the Romas. Some of these cherries are ripening. I don't know read all this, but it's kind of time for harvest, so a lot of things are pushing the weeds away so that they can grow. And my onions are doing really well. Keep thinking, really wish I had done more. Wish I had done more. We harvested 10 pounds of potatoes a couple days ago. This is my garlic. Totally planted it at the wrong time of the year. So I'm just gonna leave it alone, see what it does. That's where our potatoes were. They did very well. Let's check on the zucchini. Zucchini's doing well. I was able to pick one. Oh, there's another one. I'll give that one more day to grow. How's this doing? Yeah, it's doing well. Some little baby zucchinis. There's another one that's growing. Should be ready soon. Swiss chard. I'm trying to like Swiss chard. Trying to like collards. Trying to like beet greens. If you guys have recipes for that, that tastes good, let me know. Cabbages are not doing beautiful. I'm not good at cabbage. I always have worms. I know you're supposed to like cover the cabbage, but I just have never been able to do that. And we had a volunteer sunflower come up. We had some 12-footers last year. They were beautiful. So when I found this one, I was like, wow, I want to keep it. See what it does. And then my peppers are just going nuts. I picked a whole bunch of peppers. Didn't quite pick a peck of pickled peppers, but these are some Fuji jalapenos. There's another one ready. So they have the flavor of jalapenos, but not the heat. And they're doing very, very well. And then waiting for these peppers to turn orange. And then these peppers to turn purple. They're going to stay small. And then lots of tomatoes doing very well. My tomatillos, look at that. They're just insane. Wow. First year being successful with tomatillos. And I say successful. I've not ever harvested tomatillos. But successful in that they've made it this far. None of my, very few of my cucumbers grew. I don't know if the batch was just bad or something, or what the deal was. But I did manage to pick up a leftover plant from a good greenhouse. It was supposed to be one of those little lemon cucumbers. Turned out to be a pickled, the short ones. But it's been producing cucumbers pretty much daily. And then we've got watermelon. Small little watermelons on here. There's a nice watermelon. This one might actually make it. Look at that. There's a bunch of them. And then down here is one seed that came up. Of my cucumbers. Let's see. I saw some out there the other day. Yep, there's some. Okay, so here's one of the things I learned. My squash plants went insane after I layered them thick with straw underneath them. They started traveling, they started spreading. They just went absolutely bonkers. And so that now, my yard over here, let's see if I can show you. It's my cucumber, and it's trailing all the way up to there. And then the watermelon right out there. Just insane. That's all squash out there. I need to check out why it's yellowing. They've even got some squash growing up on my fence. Let's try to step over there without stepping on any of these plants. We've got some beautiful acorn squash growing in here. Check this guy out. He's yellowing. I don't like that. But growing up here too. Yesterday looking a little wilted, but we got a bunch of rain yesterday. And it was nice. It was like little spurts of rain here and there. And then it must have rained a lot last night because all of these leaves are bouncing back and looking really great. And then somewhere in here I've got some more watermelon trying to make it, but I don't know that it'll do anything. But I'm hoping to get a few pumpkins in time for Thanksgiving. If you've ever had pumpkin pie from like real pumpkins, not canned, but like real pumpkins, you know you can't compare it to anything. It's absolutely the best. So I'm hoping to have some pumpkins in time for Thanksgiving. At least just a few. Wow, that is spreading so far. It's outstanding. I love this. This is, even though the garden is not perfectly weeded, this is by far the best garden I've ever had. Just the way it's producing, and it's so fun to be out here. I think the secret to gardening that I've learned is it takes a lot of work in the very beginning, but once it's established, it only needs maintenance. And I haven't even been good at that. But if your plants are established, they'll be very forgiving. My kids will want to have a garden of their own now. So, if any of you have seen the movie Secret Garden, the girl asks the gentleman, may I have a bit of like dirt, soil? And he says, sure. So she makes a garden. So my kids have all asked me if they can have a little plot of land for their garden too. Okay, so that's my morning. It does get more extensive as things move on, and if it was beautiful weather out right now and I knew that we were going to have a really hot day, I'd be working out here, cleaning, moving mulch, cleaning out the stall, weeding, working with the electric fence, stuff like that. But I only have a little bit of time before I have to get to work myself, and so I'm going to just focus on the needful things and then hope that my kids will handle some of the more important details. So that's about the way it is. It's nice that there aren't any bugs around, and I'm keeping my voice quiet because I do still have some family members that are sleeping here on the farm. So I'm not going to add any background music to this because I am trying to keep my voice down. Okay. Hopefully we can keep you posted, and it's a possibility that even Marianne may show signs. She was very swollen this morning. So we'll see. Stay tuned. We've got the vow renewal coming up on Saturday, and we will do a video for that as well, which will be fun because we're doing it right here on the farm. So that'll be fun. All right. See you later.